Hogwarts Castle, a 5-inch gauge locomotive, part 23, servicing the snifting valve, cleaning the crosshead guides and looking at the progress of the job. This snifting valve is exactly the same as the snifting valve fitted to the other cylinder. So what is a snifting valve? It's nothing complicated, it's a simple one-way ball valve, and its purpose in a steam locomotive is to admit air to the steam chest when the regulator is closed. Because without a snifting valve, once the regulator is shut, the cylinder becomes an air pump, and with the regulator closed, this would slow the engine down. All that these snifting valves do is let air into the steam chest when the regulator is closed. Once the regulator is opened again, the steam pressure closes the valve. It's more normal to find a snifting valve on the wet header pipe that goes to the superheater. By having the snifting valve fitted to the main steam pipe before the superheater, air is sucked in through the superheater tubes to help prevent them getting too hot when there's no steam in them. In this clip, I'm removing the paint from the top of the slide bars, and I'm using a novel approach. First of all, I use a steel ruler, then some wet to dry sandpaper, then I brush off most of the debris and just check that I haven't missed any, and as you can see, I've missed a bit. And here I decided to use a small wire brush on my Proxxon motor tool to get right into the corners. And it's time for a health and safety warning, and a serious one. When using tools like this, particularly when they're fitted with wire brushes, it is essential to wear eye protection because these bristles on this wire brush fly off at an amazing speed, and they can be quite painful if they hit you on the arm, but in the eye would be a different matter. And a good tip is not to use the motor tool on maximum speed. It doesn't need to be going that fast to do this job. And the speed at which the bristles leave the wire brush is relative to the rotational speed of the shaft. I find this type of wire brush the most useful of all, really good at getting into every corner, and in no time at all the crosshead guide bar is looking really good. I was going to miss this bit just for a laugh, but I didn't in the end, so now all of the paint is removed. What's next? Well, I'm going to paint the valve linkage. As you can see, it's partially painted, but the valve linkages on Great Western locomotives are very inboard, difficult to get to clean once the running boards are in place, so just like the other side, I think I'll paint it to stop it from going rusty. In this clip, I'm testing that all the wheels move very freely without any binding, and I'm pleased to say, yes they do. Sometimes coupling rods and quartering of steam locomotives is anything but accurate, but this one's fine. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the steam workshop and take the running boards, because the paint needs removing from the running boards and it's much easier to do it at the steam workshop with the shot blasting machine. The other reason for temporarily fitting the running boards and clamping them in the correct position, Simon at the steam workshop asked me to measure the distance between the running boards because the original spectacle plate on this engine is completely wrong and the cab is too narrow. In this clip I'm fitting the front panels. First of all, I fit them loosely in the right position and then hold them in place with a clamp. There are some parts missing from this locomotive, the obvious one being the front part of the running boards, but I need to modify this anyway. I'll just get the measurement for Simon and it's 9 3/4 inches. I also measured the distance between the running boards at the back and it's the same, thankfully. One job that I'm not particularly looking forward to is making all the brake gear. It's got to look the part, but it's going to be non-functional. This part, on the other hand, which is the reversing lever, has to be fully functional. It doesn't look much like a Great Western reversing lever, but you can see what happens. It's just a screw thread that moves the die block back and forth. And this in turn changes the position of the expansion links in the valve gear, via a very long rod that goes from the cab to the main lever on the running board. Because I'm also going to take this part to the steam workshop to be bead blasted, I'm removing the reversing lever and I'll take the paint off this in a bath of cellulose thinners. Once I remove the nuts underneath, I then found that these 4 bolts are also screwed into the plate, and here using a socket I'm removing the bolts. This is a real belt and braces approach, but I suppose it makes sense because on the original design of this engine it was quite difficult to get at this part, so if it had worked loose in service it would have been a major job to tighten it up. My original intention was to put this part in a tub of cellulose thinners, which is also known as lacquer thinner in the USA, but as you can see, I've run out of it. So that's about it, the story so far. I'm definitely going to modify the running boards. I don't get the principle of having half of the running board removable over the cylinder. I'm going to shorten the running boards at the front and make a completely removable front panel. That will make it much easier to remove the steam chest cover. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Main Steam Models website. Click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you will find it very easy to find other videos that you may like to watch.